Now the desperate family is forced to arm themselves after a spate of violent home invasions. Tonight, why they bought baseball bats and other weapons, fearful of apex gang attacks. Reid Butler has the story. He joins me live. Reid, these families, they mean business.
Yeah, Layla, they do. They're not afraid of taking the law into their own hands if it means keeping everybody safe. These vigilantes are using everyday items like baseball bats, shovels and even hairspray as weapons to fend off violent home invaders. But they're being warned by doing so, they could face even bigger trouble.
I appreciate that people are frightened by this and they want to protect themselves, their family and their homes.
It's just getting worse, just everything, everyone's getting away with everything now.
It's violent gang crime and it's rife in our suburbs.
There definitely has been an increase in crime.
Police are working tirelessly to stamp it out.
We're doing everything we can to catch the offenders and put them before the courts.
But the attacks keep happening and the community has had enough and is now fighting back, taking the law into their own hands.
Female was coming toward me with the hammer and I didn't care. I just jumped on top of him.
All our neighbours, we are together now, we are vigilant, so we can take some action.
There's no doubt about it, people are scared. Many are even buying weapons like baseball bats to protect themselves. This suburban sports store, like many others, is running low on stock. Some are even running out. Is that something you've done?
Yeah, I've got one, yeah.
You've got a baseball bat?
Yeah, absolutely.
And why do you feel the need to have one?
Today's world's a lot different, isn't it?
We've noticed a bit of an increase in sort of baseball bat sales in the past few weeks.
Christian Wiltshire is the manager of this sports power store. He says baseball bats are flying off the shelves.
We've only got 2 baseball bats left at the store, which is a pretty good sign that they're increasing in sales.
And it's definitely not amateur athletes snapping them up. Instead, Christian says most of the customers have been frightened older people wanting to protect themselves.
We really didn't sell many baseball bats before this. Most of the baseball bats were during the summer when people were actually playing baseball, so it isn't a winter sport.
It's a similar story at different sporting stores around Victoria. When we visited this Amart outlet, we found it was completely sold out of baseball bats.
If the police can't get there in time, then I believe everyone has a right to defend themselves.
Because you should feel safe in your home. If someone enters your home, you should be able to deal with that. You should be able to stop them from coming any further, hurting your kids, your family.
There are also reports of Aussies buying other everyday supermarket and hardware store items to use as weapons. While police have long used capsicum spray on offenders, some homeowners are improvising, keeping cans of hairspray by their bed.
I want to protect my house, my property.
Paolo lives in Melbourne's western suburbs. He's one of many fed-up residents who've armed themselves following the rise of youth crime gangs like Apex.
I decided to get the baseball bat because every time we call the police, they never show up. So what can I do?
Who here has children, young children?
Everybody.
You've all got young children and how does this level of danger in the community make you feel as parents of young children?
We are worried.
In nearby Tarneet, these locals have formed a neighbourhood watch group to help keep the streets and their families safe. They'll all soon be taking self-defence classes.
They're doing something with my family, I'm going to fight.
Just getting to know your neighbours, and for the wider the community. You don't actually have to be part of Neighbourhood Watch. You can just get to know your neighbours, and that's one of the most important things that you can do to be safe in your own community.
While the Tarneet group isn't taking measures to the extreme, others are.
If someone comes in your home, you're not uninvited, I reckon you can hit them in the kneecaps or something with it. But then again, what happens? We get into trouble.
I think there's issues around self-defence and you can reasonably defend yourself.
Assistant Commissioner Stephen Lean from Victoria Police is warning Australians not to take their vigilantism too far.
Self-defence doesn't give you any right to walk around the streets armed with baseball bats.
We must rely on the police force. You should contact the police if you need help or assistance. Taking the law into your own hands can only lead to trouble.
Lawyer Sam Macedoni says the consequences of fighting back can be huge.
If you happen to kill someone who is invading your home because you've overstepped the mark, you won't be found guilty of murder. More than likely, it will only be manslaughter. But then again, that's 10 to 14 years in jail, and you don't want that.
Police are holding a special youth crime forum beginning tomorrow to help combat the problem of gang violence.